Walthamstow, East London, the bustling and vibrant home of the Active Change Foundation. It's a youth charity focused on combating the forces of radicalisation that can lead teenagers into a life of gang violence or religious extremism. For Javed, who came from Afghanistan 7 years ago, this place has opened him up to new opportunities.
They helped me with my education, with my social life, with my college, university, everything. They helped me from recruiters, to extremist groups.
Hanif Kadir, the head of Active Change, receives a phone call from the father of a British jihadist who went to Syria to join the Islamic State group, also known as ISIL or ISIS. His son now wants to come back.
We're not sure if he's left Raqqa. Do we know that? If we do manage to get into a safe space, let's say if it's in Jordan or any other neighbouring country, we have to look at some of the realities here. Many people are going to be wary of the intentions of any individual wanting to leave ISIS, especially now. And then
For months, Active Change has been trying to break through to the young jihadist, sending messages through his father to counter the interpretation of Islam that's made by ISIL.
It's the first milestone we've achieved with this case, where we've got this individual to consider, alternative methods and looking at the religion differently. If you have patience and you have the right information and you can get a way of delivering that information to the person, allow them to think for themselves, things can change.
Hanif Kadir knows what he's talking about. He joined a network of al-Qaeda members after the invasion of Afghanistan, spending most of his time with them in 2002. But he left determined to safeguard young men and women from similar experiences. He founded Active Change in 2003. A designated target of ISIL, the British capital is also the first recruitment area of the terrorist organisation in the UK. It's an attraction that comes as no surprise to Adam Deen. He's a former member of the Islamic extremist group Al-Muhajirun. He's now an expert on counter-terrorism and deradicalisation techniques.
In a world where people are very insecure, in a world where there is uncertainty, the ISIS message is very comforting. And it's a simplification of the world, and what it does, it separates the whole world into good and evil. I encountered these extremists. They became an authority in my world in terms of understanding my faith, and they took me on a journey of extremism. It was normalized for me to even enter a conversation and to sit with people talking about potentially performing a terrorist act in London. I mean, I look back now and I think, what the hell was I doing? But then it just felt normal. The West were attacking Muslims. They were our enemy. We need to stop people going on this journey of extremism. And that requires a theological reform. The very way that we understand Islam, the way that we understand the world through the Islamic lens needs to change.
In a secret meeting place elsewhere in the British capital, we meet Rashad Ali, who's also turned his back on extremism and is now focused on trying to deter others from pursuing the same fate. A strong counter-narrative is key, he says.
Once you're able to see through it and you're able to realise the ideology is bereft, the politics is very disengaged from reality, and actually the religious narrative is used to justify some very extreme ideological positions, then you can disentangle it from the religious persuasions and you can see that the ideology is fundamentally amoral. And I think those things are what essentially allowed me to break away, and I think to a large extent for most people it's the same set of ingredients that push people to join that you can utilise to get them to leave.
The UK counter-terrorism strategy, called Contest and originally launched in 2003, is made up of 4 strands: pursue, prepare, protect and, of course, prevent. This includes initiatives facilitating the reporting of people at risk of radicalisation. Since 2006, more than 4,000 people have been identified as potentially on the path to extremism. A controversial scheme is the mandatory referral of pupils considered at risk. In the city of Slough, west of London, Zafar Ali is in charge of radicalisation safeguarding training at several schools in the area.
We train staff regularly on what their duties are, what to look out for, and how to react and not to overreact. There was a child in a primary school, after a good lesson, said to the teacher, Alhamdulillah, which means praise be to Allah. She believed it was a terrorist word. She phoned the police, and the child was cross-examined, as were the parents. The atmosphere now is such that a lot of young people believe that if they truly express their views with a view to engaging, they'll be noted, they'll be marked, and they'll be called extremists. And that is a dangerous thing because you're driving these people underground.
Oh, you who believe.
At least 700 people from the UK have joined ISIL and other jihadist organisations in Syria and Iraq, according to authorities. Around half of those are believed to have returned. But people continue to join the fight, including several teenage schoolgirls who left their British lives behind to join ISIL. Many of these young people have been approached by ISIL via social media. The Football for Unity Association is another organisation working to counter the propaganda of extremists aimed at youngsters. Co-founder Jamenda Talwa says it's about building a sense of community in the here and now.
There are Muslims, some of them are Jewish, some of them are Christian, some from different faiths, some Hindu or Christian, or Sikhs, who have helped supported these children, de-radicalise them through football, which is a fantastic way of bringing all the cultures together. We express to them that the rule of law or British values is really, really important. It doesn't matter what background you're from, your identity will always remain British.
Those values struck a chord with this girl, who calls herself Amina, helping to convince her not to go to Syria. She'd been in contact with ISIL recruiters online, but says this club changed her perspective.
It's brought to me sort of a sense of belonging. As young people, we always have had the sort of sense that we don't belong or that we have to rebel or something like that. But the fact of the matter is you need someone to put their arm on your shoulder and tell them it's okay, we're on your side, we're here for you. And that's what this team has brought to us. It's given us all a place to go, and it's almost a family, really.
British MPs voted in December to launch airstrikes targeting ISIL in Syria. Hanif Kadir is among those who warn that military action may make the problem of radicalisation not better, but worse.
ISIS, Al-Qaeda and all the other extremist groups, they know where the battlefield is. The problem is our leaders don't. And we do the same thing over and over again, which since 2002 to now has created more terrorism than we can ever imagine before. The space that we should be fighting is in the hearts and minds, in our communities, in our institutions. You know, these are the battlefields that we need to be fighting this war on, not through military campaigns. That will kill the terrorist. It won't kill the idea.